Hello everyone, my name is Jamie Paris with Integration Development, and today we're going to be going over our Climate Detection Plus driver for Control4. This driver is great for monitoring devices like freezers or refrigerators, even hot tubs, saunas, things like that, where if you need to know if a temperature goes above or below a certain threshold, you want to get notified for that. That's what this driver does. We have a low threshold and a high threshold, and you're able to get notifications when the temperature falls above or below those different levels. You can buy it individually, or you can also pair it with our Integrator Tools Experience Bundle. When you do that, we have in the Integrator Tools driver, we have a whole bunch of pre-built notifications, so you don't have to do the programming for them. You literally can just have the customer go in and be able to set how they want to be notified on each one of those critical levels of the temperature or the humidity of that temperature device. And then finally, you can also get it with our SynDev driver bundle. This bundle includes every single driver we've ever made or are going to make in the future. So this is the easiest way to just add all of our drivers to a project and be able to have them now and future-proof them for any things they add in the future as well. Let's go ahead and get started on the setup of the driver. Once the driver is loaded into your Control4 drivers folder, you can search for it by just typing in climate. It'll show up as Climate Detection Plus. Once you load it into the room, it'll automatically populate thermostat proxy into the comfort section of that room. If you would like to add it into other rooms, you could go into driver actions, say show icon on specific rooms, and then you could add in other rooms here, just check them and then hit OK and you'll be done. So that's how easy that is. A couple of the other driver actions we have is you can run a manual check of the sensor, and then you could also enable a extra level of temperature thresholds and an extra level of humidity thresholds. If you want to have, like, let's say 2 levels of a high temperature threshold, you could do that by adding this in. The next step we need to do is monitor our device here. So let's go ahead and set a temperature device. I'm going to go ahead and use my Z to C here in my demo part room. And then you need to also pick the variable you want to monitor. So in this case, I'm monitoring the remote temperature. So I'm going to do that. It's monitoring. It shows it's at 31 degrees. Okay. Now I'm going to monitor the humidity as well. So I'm going to connect that variable as well. So I'm going to select the same device there. And it only had one variable that it has in that device, so it automatically selects it for you. So the humidity and the temperature are now done. So now I want to set my thresholds. I could do them individually, or I could just view all of them here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit view all. And what's cool about this driver is the customer can do this themselves. So you'll see we have a temperature, humidity, and we have an extras tab. You see the extras tab, they have their settings here. So the customer can adjust them themselves. So if they wanted their high threshold to, let's say, be 40 degrees, and they wanted their low threshold to be, since it's a fridge, let's just say 5 degrees, I could do that. And then how long do you want this temperature to sustain for before an alert is sent? That's this next question. This also ties into how often does that sensor report back to Control4. I normally like to do these for about 3 to 10 minutes. So I'm just going to set this at 5 minutes. But for the video, I'm actually going to do it at 1 minute since we want to get notifications faster. But I'd recommend doing, kind of look at that sensor you're using, see how often it reports back to Control4, and set your threshold there. And then finally, let's go ahead and set our humidity thresholds as well. So I'll just set this at 60% and then low at 20%. Roughly, right? And then I'm going to set the sustain time here for, let's say, 5 minutes. We're not going to really show that in the video, but I will show how it works. And you see here it automatically adjusted these. I didn't even set them in properties. They automatically adjusted after whoever sets their thresholds is done here. Okay. Finally, the last few settings in the driver are if you want to be able to repeat the pre-built notifications and integrator tools that we've built for you. So let's just say I want to have them repeat 2 times. I could set that here. What's the delay in between each one of those notifications? So I'm going to say let's do 5 minutes. and now it will get repeat notifications every 5 minutes. The integration controls, if you want to enable or disable it, let's say if an Airbnb and you just want to disable it for a certain period of time, you could do that. The next item are our smart notifications. These are all of the pre-built notifications that we've done for you for this driver. So if here is our My Notifications web UI that's you get with Integrator Tools, and if I were to go over to integrations, and if I were to go to my basement fridge, we've pre-built all of these for you here. So you have high humidity, high temperature, humidity back in range, low humidity, low temperature, and temperature back in range. So I'm just going to go to our high temperature. So it will warn you whenever this goes above our high threshold. And you could say, I want to get a push alert, an owner email, and a voice alert. If I wanted to take those off, I could do that. This is all for the customer. They could set their own notifications. This is what's great about this driver. Like I said, if you want to know more about that, we just released this. We have videos on our YouTube channel that you can watch. But those are what the smart notifications are. If I wanted to disable those for this, I could do that. And the last two settings are navigator threshold adjustments and navigator notification adjustments. If you wanted to enable or disable those, you could do that. So if I disabled them, let's just show you what it would look like here. If I hit set and set. So now they don't show those notifications or the thresholds and navigators. If I want to enable the thresholds again, they have them there. So that's how the driver sets up. I will now show you some of the programming options you have for this driver. So briefly, here are all the events you can program off of if you want. But again, like I said, we built most of the alerts that customers would want for you inside of Integrator Tools. You need both drivers to make those work, but I would highly recommend just buying that whole bundle so you get all these features and you save the money you're spending on those drivers, you'll save in programming time. Again, then here for the actions, you can do off of different high-low directions, or the temperature, critical levels, humidity levels, things like that. And here are some of the conditionals you can program off of as well. Now taking a little bit deeper look at the temperature alerts that we build for you. So again, this one we're talking about is a fridge. So we said if the fridge goes over 40 degrees, we want to be alerted. So the way this notification would trigger, it would say temperature warning, basement fridge is reporting, let's say 50 degrees, which has exceeded the high temperature threshold of 40 degrees. That's what this is going to say. Again, here I want to send a push alert, an email the owner, and a voice alert, right? So if I just wanted to change that here, I could just click this button and it changes it, and it automatically changes it here. You as a dealer don't have to come in here and adjust these for them. The customer has full control of what they want. That's why we love this new feature we added into this bundle. I hope you guys try it out and use it today. So now let's go ahead and test this out. I have pretty much how I'm using this is I just have a temperature probe and a glass of cold water. So I'm gonna take out that probe, and it'll take a little bit of time, so I'm gonna pause the video for that to happen, but I'll show you what this looks like once it goes above the threshold here. All right, you'll see right now it's just monitoring the devices. It's showing it's not a color, right? So what we're expecting is when it churns, if it gets to the high temperature, it'll glow red and it'll say high temperature critical. If it goes below your threshold, it will turn blue and say low temperature critical. So that's what we're waiting for, and let's see it happen here. Okay, you'll see it's at 49. It should report here. It has to sustain that time for a minute before it alerts, right? So it's above our threshold. It's waiting to sustain the time. Once another minute has passed, it will turn red and we will get the alert. So I'm just going to have the video run while we're waiting on this here. Okay, so now it turned red. We should get
temperature warning. Basement fridge is reporting 53 degrees, which has exceeded 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
So there was the first alert. I have repeat notifications of 2 more that are going to happen. We have those set to 5 minutes, so we'll go ahead and I'm going to wait so you can hear the difference between alert number 1 and alert number 2. And then I'm going to put the probe back into the cold water so we can see what happens when it gets back to its normal in between the thresholds here. And it should say that the temperature has returned back to normal. Here is the push alert as well, so you can see it there if I were to press on it. It says right there. So basement fridge is reporting 53 degrees. So that's what the push alert would look like.
Temperature warning, second notice. Basement fridge is reporting 58 degrees, which has exceeded 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, there was the second notice, and you heard it say second notice. It tells you, it repeats it. Once it does the third notice, it'll say third notice. So that's something I think is very cool with the repeat notifications. It lets you know what notice you're on. So let's go ahead and return this to normal so we can see what that sounds like. Okay, now it's back at 35 degrees. Again, it has to sustain this for a minute before it reports that it's back to normal here. So let's go ahead and wait, and we'll see what it does.
Basement fridge is back in range at 35 degrees Fahrenheit.
So there was the final notification. Again, here if we look at the push notifications, there are all of our push notifications as well. If I were to go back into the My Notifications web UI, you'll see we have all these in our event history as well. So like I said, these all work tremendously well together. I'd highly recommend you checking out this bundle. There's a couple things we've thought about with this driver. Please leave your suggestions below in the comments. Would be how important would a high temperature driver be for, let's say, your barbecue smokers, maybe even like really hot saunas, things like that. Right now this only goes up to 120 degrees is the highest threshold. So if you think a high temperature threshold would be important, let us know and we can easily make that as well. And then also, is there any need for like grouping thermostats together? That's something else we can maybe add into this driver as an optional driver as well. But if you like this driver, let us know. Please leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.